Hello, today we are going to be taking a thorough look inside First Language Lessons for the Well-Trained Mind, which is a grammar curriculum for young elementary students. Let's get started. Let's dive in. Now, I do have an older edition, but don't be too alarmed by that. The content is almost identical. The one difference with the older edition is that it has both of the first two levels put together in one book, and it is a hardcover book. You can find many used copies of this on the secondhand market, but you can also find new printed as well as PDF versions from the Well-Trained Minds website, and they're quite affordably priced. The Well-Trained Mind also has a pretty good sale about twice a year. So that's where you can find it, and this does have the lessons for both first grade and second grade in the same book. When you're getting a newer edition, it is one book for first grade and one book for second grade. So I wanted to start with the intro because this very first sentence really epitomizes my own view toward homeschool in the early years, and I love it. It says, how to use this book. I believe we underestimate what young children are capable of learning. Yes, I think young children are capable of so much. And so I love diving into a curriculum that is written under that philosophy of our children as capable learners and us getting to walk alongside them in this learning process. This is grammar. This is learning the rules of language. This isn't necessarily the subject a lot of people get excited about, but I do tend to be very excited about it. Now, the method used by this book, First Language Lessons, is largely an oral or conversational method of teaching. You have guided conversations with your child as you are learning these principles for language use, practical principles for language use. This is not a workbook, so the child will not be writing in this at all. This is a guide for you. You do get to use a notebook alongside it, and as you move up in the levels, there's a little bit more writing expected of a child. So it's less right at the beginning of first grade and more toward the end of second grade. But it is not a workbook. This is a scripted, guided lesson for you to talk through as the teacher. There are 4 strands used in this approach to teaching grammar and language arts. Strand number 1 is memory work. The memory work consists of short poems as well as definitions of parts of speech. And as you're doing your memory work, I highly recommend that you teach the skills for reciting memory work. So that's something I'm doing with my own son. We're not just saying it as fast as we can, but we're saying it clearly with good pronunciation, with a calm body, focusing our body, standing up straight, working on building the skills for public speaking, which is a part of language arts learning. For strand number 2, there is copying and dictation. So in first grade, we're beginning with copying sentences, copy work. Second grade, we're doing dictation, which is significantly more challenging, hearing sentences and then writing them down. But we're not starting right off the bat with dictation. Then we have narration. There are, I think, 2 main types of narration, and you just are going through this. You don't have to decide when to do it. It's just the next lesson as you go. So there's picture narrations, where we are looking at and describing a picture, practicing our observation skills and practicing the use of accurate language. It can be hard for young children to describe what they see accurately. So we are working on building this skill. We also have story narration. We're working up to being able to hear a story and tell the story back in their own words. And then we also have grammar, which the rules of grammar bring order to the chaos of words in the child's mind. I love that. I love the study of grammar. I love the study of the rules of language. It is utterly fascinating to me. And we are learning the basic building blocks. We're learning what's a noun, what's a verb. Then we're getting into adjectives and adverbs. We're getting into prepositions and conjunctions. Again, slowly. This is not piling it all on your child right at the beginning. I have heard this curriculum described as simultaneously gentle and ambitious, and I feel like that is a very good description of the curriculum. It is gentle, it is not overly hard and challenging, but it is ambitious, it is rigorous. It expects a child to be able to learn big ideas and to put those big ideas into practice. So I'm going to show you just a few of the first lessons so you can get an idea of where we start. Then I'll show you some lessons later on to get an idea of where you're going with this. So here we have lesson 1, which is introducing nouns. Like I mentioned, they have an exact script. Instructor, you're saying, what is a noun? Everything has a name. We have our exact definition of a noun that your child will be memorizing. You will repeat this many, many times over the course of learning what a noun is. Then we go through examples, and we're talking just about persons, different kinds of persons. So we're coming up with common nouns for persons. Then lesson 2, we are beginning our memory work strand, which we start with The Caterpillar by Christina Rossetti. Then here's nouns again. We're working on nouns. Now we're naming other people and plural people. We're getting more common nouns: grandmother, grandfather, uncles and aunts, expanding beyond the nuclear family. Now that we have our family member common noun names, here we're starting to introduce proper nouns and first names. So we can get the big idea of proper names beginning with a capital letter. How many times have you repeated begin names with a capital letter in your homeschool? For me, it's been a lot over many, many years of teaching. Then here in lesson 5, we have some story narration. So in this, you have very short stories. Here we have classic stories. So The Rabbit and the Turtle. And that you are reading this fable to your child, and then you have a few questions. We're starting with using questions to help a child summarize the story, but we're working up to being able to say, tell me what happened from beginning to end of the story. But they're not expecting a child to be able to do that right off the bat. Some children might be able to if they have more experience, but they give you questions so that you can scaffold being able to tell back a story. And as we go, we're continuing to review whatever poem we're learning, and we're continuing to learn proper nouns and first names. So they're not just introducing something once and then never talking about it again. No, we get lots of repetition as we go through this. And there are about 100 lessons scheduled for 1 year of this program, so you don't necessarily have to do it every day. About 3 times a week would fill out a school year very nicely. I'm going to skip forward toward closer to the end of level 1 so that you can see just how things change, how things grow a little bit. So here it looks like we are working on an oral composition, a story about me, and sometimes you have instructor notes that you have to read to yourself and figure out what is happening. So here we can give the child a story starter, and we can choose one. This is only if a child needs help beginning the story, and then you can write down the story that they tell you. So in this one, your child is creating an oral composition. They will tell you a story and you will write down the story. Sometimes they have enrichment activities to add a little bit of challenge, or if you want to spend more time on a topic, here you can have your child illustrate a story, or if they're a more advanced student, they could write even a sequel to their initial story. Here we have story poem narration. So we're reading the story poem. Then we have questions. And again, if you have a more advanced student, they start doing this later on. So if you're using this with a slightly older student or a more advanced student, you have options to add more challenge, would be writing out a summary of the Three Little Kittens story. Here we have some copy work in this lesson. So you can see the lessons get a little more challenging, and you also have copy work options. So you can see the copy work options. There are very short ones. They began to cry, or there's a longer sentence if your child can handle a longer sentence. So you can just adapt it to what you know your child can handle. Here we also have some pronouns. That's what we're working on for grammar right now. We work on addresses. A lot of practical things are included. We get our abbreviations and titles of respect. Here we have copy work. have the child copy as many of the following sentences as seems appropriate. So yes, while we don't have a workbook, we are working in a notebook regularly once you get later on into first grade. And then I will go ahead and show you some lessons in the second grade level, which would be level 2 in the newer edition. We start with review, which is what we always start with, right? On new levels, we have poem memorization, verbs. These are all review of concepts from the beginning lessons. Okay, we get 4 kinds of verbs reviews. So doing an action, showing a state of being, linking, or helping. We also, this is one of the ways we do memory work, is there are chants with certain types of verbs. So to just get the hang of which verbs fit different categories. Linking verbs, helping verbs. We have a poem. This is a poem memorization project that also involves creating a little booklet where the child is copying each of these stanzas and then illustrating each of these stanzas to create their own booklet that they do with copy work and illustration. And that's not something they do in one lesson, that's something that they gradually do over several lessons. Here we have interjections, adjectives, and commas in a series. And then we start to have dictation. So instead of copy work, now we're starting to get into dictation. You can choose which sentence fits your child's level the best, and you read it to them. They don't see it. You read it to them twice, ask the child to repeat it back to you, and then they write it down in their notebook. Reviewing, memory work, dictation, poems, interjections, conjunctions. Then here we get to writing a thank you note, addressing an envelope. We see the structure of a letter. And then here we are learning how to write a direct quotation. So I hope that this gives you a nice little glimpse inside how this works. If you have any more questions about this program, feel free to ask in the comments, or if you want to share your own experience using first language lesson, I would love to hear about that. Join me next time for more nerdy homeschool videos. I'll be seeing you. Bye.